on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see.
Bonjour à tous. Hello everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm very happy that you are here. Today, let's go visit two of the most famous sculptors' studios and workshops that turned into museums bearing their respective names. I'm sure you would guess them, or at least one of them easily. Yes, one is Auguste Rodin, as you guessed, and the other is Antoine Bourdelle, as you might have guessed as well. Every time I see their sculptures, I marvel at their immense talents and gifts they left as their forever legacy. Are you ready to see these two great museums? Let's go. Allons-y.
And even the rough can be sweet. Just close your eyes and know.
Auguste Rodin is perhaps the most famous sculptor of the modern era. He was a French sculptor who is generally considered the founder of modern sculpture. He was born on November 12, 1840 and died November 17, 1917. Antoine Bourdelle was an influential French sculptor and teacher. He was a student of Auguste Rodin and an important figure in the transition from the French Beaux-Arts style of neoclassicism to modern sculpture. Bourdelle was born on October 30, 1861 and died on October 1, 1929. I arrive at Musée Rodin. The museum is located at 77 Rue de Varenne in the 7th arrondissement of Paris. Its original name is Hôtel Biron, built in the 18th century for the financier Abraham Perrin. Hôtel Biron is an hôtel particulier. Hôtel particulier is not a hotel, but a grand townhouse comparable to the British townhouse or mansion. Hôtel Biron has an extensive garden of 7 acres where many of Rodin's sculptures are displayed. But unfortunately, the majority of the garden located behind the building has been under renovation for some time. The ownership of the property was changed a few times since it was built, but from 1905, this mansion was subdivided and rented out. Auguste Rodin was one of the tenants renting several rooms on the ground floor to store his sculptures. Eventually, these rooms became his studio from 1908. Then from 1911 onwards, he occupied the whole building. Rodin donated his entire collection of sculptures, along with paintings by Vincent van Gogh, Claude Monet, and Pierre-Auguste Renoir that he had acquired, to the French state on condition that they turn Hôtel Biron into a museum dedicated to his work. Musée Rodin opened as an art museum in 1919, 2 years after Rodin's death. Musée Rodin contains most of Rodin's significant creations, including The Thinker, The Kiss, and The Gates of Hell. As I mentioned in the beginning, Rodin is generally considered the founder of modern sculpture, and I'll tell you why. Before Rodin, the predominant tradition of sculpture was decorative and thematic. While Rodin's most original work was derived from traditional themes of mythology, he approached the human body with naturalism, and his sculptures celebrate individual character and physicality, thus inevitably sensual. Many of Rodin's most notable sculptures were criticized because they contrast the established practice of figurative and decorative sculptural work. Rodin refused to change his style in spite of the controversy caused by his work. He was seen as radical. But his continued genius prolificacy brought increasing favor domestically than internationally. He sculpted a world of great passion and tragedy, e.g., The Kiss, The Burghers of Calais, and The Gates of Hell. Rodin focused on the human form and used various materials such as bronze, marble, plaster, and clay. His decision not to smooth over or hide signs of his sculptural process and the creation of sculptures from parts of the body like hands was unheard of before Rodin and revolutionary in his time. That became the hallmarks of Rodin's style and was elaborated by so many artists who followed him. With these developments in art, Rodin led trends instead of following it. And today, he is regarded as a great artist and founder of modern sculpture. Antoine Bourdelle's studio, turned into the museum, is located at 18 Rue Antoine Bourdelle in the 15th arrondissement of Paris. It's less than a 10-minute walking distance from the Montparnasse Tower. The museum preserves the studio of sculptor Antoine Bourdelle and provides an example of Parisian atelier from the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Antoine Bourdelle was a student of Auguste Rodin and as prolific as his teacher. In 1884, at the age of 24, he earned second place in the competition to enter the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. Having worked in the studio of Alexandre Falguière and quitted his studio in 1895, he rented a studio. In 1893, Bourdelle joined the studio of Auguste Rodin, where he collaborated with Rodin for the next 15 years. There, he embraced his mentor Rodin's realism in his own sculptures. However, from 1900, Bourdelle clearly exhibited his artistic independence from Rodin's style. His sculpture was soon to take its own course. He had already begun his passion for the monumental sculpture of ancient Greek sculpture, particularly the archaic and medieval religious sculpture. In 1908, Bourdelle left the studio of Rodin and set out on his own. And since then, this studio became Antoine Bourdelle's workshop and studio until his death in 1929. Bourdelle's works have been known to demonstrate exaggerated surfaces mingled with the decorative implications of archaic Greek and Romanesque art. They certainly introduced a new vigor and strength into the sculpture of the early 20th century. Bourdelle drew upon the artistic legacy of the Middle Ages in some of his colossal sculptures, such as La France, La Vierge à l'Offrande, La Fox, and many more. Engaged with the public function of sculpture, Bourdelle reintroduced sculpture to its traditional outdoor and architectural settings. Consequently, in his later career, Bourdelle became known for his majestic public monuments. In 1922, Bourdelle began plans to turn his studio into a museum, just as his teacher Rodin did. In 1949, the atelier of Bourdelle was donated by his widow and his daughter to the city of Paris, and it was opened as the Musée Bourdelle. Additionally, the street was renamed as Rue Antoine Bourdelle. Today, the museum contains more than 500 works including marble, plaster, and bronze statues, paintings, pastels, fresco sketches, and Bourdelle's personal collection of works by artists including Eugène Carrière, Eugène Delacroix, and Auguste Rodin. It is often said that Bourdelle was never able to escape completely the shadow of Rodin, but I don't agree. Antoine Bourdelle made his own name and left a great legacy with his expressive energy and magnificence in his romantic and classical form of archaic sculptures. I admire the genius in both artists. I hope you have a chance to visit these two museums when you visit Paris next time. I hope you enjoyed seeing the great artistic legacy of the two great sculptors. With that, I think it's time for me to say goodbye. I hope to see you again next week. If you have enjoyed it, please do give this video a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. Please subscribe if you want to see more of my weekly videos. Thanks so much for watching.